Hey there, Dr. Jill Wener here, back for day 6 of the 7-day coronavirus emotional survival kit for healthcare professionals. Thank you for joining me today and on all the previous days of this series. I hope you've been feeling better and using these videos to help you manage the symptoms and the stress related to being a healthcare professional in this unprecedented time. Again, I want to thank you for everything that you do, remind you to wash your hands before and after you tap, and also remind you that if you're feeling some emotions that are more intense than a tapping series email can handle, please do reach out to the appropriate mental health professional. This is just designed to help you with some emotions and some stress, but does not substitute mental health care. So let's get started. Today's emotion is guilt. So we've already been doing anxiety and panic about getting sick. We did anxiety and panic about the logistics of this virus. We talked about anger and resentment, and we did frustration. And so today we're going to talk about guilt. And this is another one of those that we might not necessarily associate right away of feeling guilt as a healthcare professional. But let me read to you some of the things that I heard from the doctors that I researched and see if any of this resonates with you. So guilt that I have to leave my kids with child care so I can continue to work and then bring home whatever I'm exposed to. I wish I could just go into hibernation with them. Guilt that I could potentially bring it home to the people I love. Guilt that I moved away from my home state and all of my immediate and extended family a few months ago, and now they all feel light years away from me, and I can't help if anyone gets sick. A sense of failure and guilt. What if we can't help in this moment of need? I'm a specialist. How can I help? I'm not on the front line. As an ED doc, I am family practice or ped. So you may be having some of that, like almost like a survivor's guilt where you're not one of the ones on the front lines. And please let me reassure you, you are just as important. Also a guilt if I get exposed and I have to quarantine, it makes more work for others. And that just, that resonates with me. I remember when I had my burnout nervous breakdown in 2011, and I decided I needed to take some time off of work, and I was a hospitalist and our schedule was done a year in advance. And this was September, I think, that I decided things were so bad I needed to take some time off. I decided to take 3 months off, but I knew that if I took the 3 months off right then, I'd be screwing over my entire practice, my group. So I decided to take my time off the following summer when the new schedule came out so that I wouldn't be ruining anyone and putting more work on them. So, and this is even more intense than that, but I can totally understand that sense of one thing you do that puts more work on other people, you've been on the receiving end of that. It can be really, really hard. So anyway, so we're going to talk about guilt. Remember, if you have any questions about the tapping itself, you can go back to the first video, which is the more intro to tapping. And we're going to focus on our emotions here. Repeat back after me only what resonates for you. You can feel free to change anything that I say into something that resonates more. You can pause the video. We're going to always want to start with the strength of our emotion, and we're going to want to, if possible, identify where we feel that emotion in our body. If you can't do that, don't worry about it. And let's go ahead and get started. We'll go to the karate chop point here. Even though I feel guilt that I could potentially be bringing this virus home to my family, and I can't stay at home with them, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel so guilty that I can't just leave my kids, that I have to leave my kids in childcare and go to work and then possibly expose them to what I've been exposed to, I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment. Even though I feel guilt that I am unable to help my family that lives so far away from me and that I might be putting my family at risk by going to work every day, I love and accept myself, and I am doing everything I can in this moment, which sometimes just means getting through the day. Top of the head. I feel so guilty. All this guilt. I feel guilty that I have to leave my kids with childcare just so I can go to work. I wish I could go into hibernation with my kids. I feel guilty that I'm bringing home whatever I'm exposed to at work, and there's nothing myself or my family can do about it. I feel guilty that I could potentially be an exposure for the people I love. All this guilt. I feel so guilty. What if I get exposed and then I have to go into quarantine? I'll feel so guilty if I create more work for other people. All this guilt. I feel so guilty. I'm a physician, but what if I'm not really being of service? I feel guilt for not being on the front lines. I feel guilt that some of my colleagues and classmates are exposing themselves even more than I am. I feel guilt that I'm not living up to my fulfillment and my responsibility of being a doctor. And I'll pause and say here, none of this stuff has to make sense, but it's just the feelings that we're feeling. So the rational mind doesn't need to, the rational mind knows different, but our emotions are really what we're working on. All this guilt, all this guilt. I feel guilty that I'm not being as much help in this moment as some of my colleagues who are in different specialties. I feel guilty that I'm exposing my family on a regular basis to whatever I'm exposed to at work. I feel guilty that I could potentially bring this virus home to the people that I love. I feel guilty for wanting to be with my family instead of being at work. All this guilt. I feel so much guilt. Okay, let's pause. Take a deep breath in and exhale. All right, how you feeling? What came up for you during that? So first, write down how strong your guilt is. So we wanted to see how strong the guilt is before we started, and now we'll see how strong the guilt is now. If it's a 0, 1, or 2, you're all good to go, and you can skip right ahead into tapping for positivity. But if you're still feeling some of that guilt, and you very well might be, we're going to go into another whole round of tapping on the guilt. Also, take note of any aha moments, insights, ideas, memories, anything else that may have come up for you, as well as any additional new emotions that might have come up for you, such as anger, such as sadness, such as anxiety or frustration, even any of the other stuff that we've tapped on before in this sequence. Maybe some of those are coming up, and honor those, write those down. And if they feel stronger than your guilt right now, it's a good idea to start tapping on those. You can go back to the old videos, or you can tap on it on your own if you feel comfortable enough with the protocol at this point. So let's keep tapping. I feel guilty. I have all this guilt. I feel like whatever I do, it's not enough. I'm either abandoning my colleagues or I'm exposing my family. And I feel like I can't ever be everything I'm supposed to be as a doctor. I feel guilt that I'm not helping enough. I feel guilt for wanting to protect myself and my family and not go to work at this time. All this guilt. I feel so much guilt right now. What if I get quarantined and that makes more work for my colleagues? What if I get quarantined and can't take care of my patients? I feel so much guilt. Seems like no matter what I choose to do, I'm disappointing somebody or putting somebody at risk. I wish I could just go into hibernation with my family. I feel guilty that I have to leave my family every day with childcare and then go to work and get exposed. All this guilt. I feel so much guilt. I feel guilt for not doing enough. I feel guilt for exposing my family. I feel guilt for being isolated from my family that live far away from me. I feel guilty for being isolated from my family that live in the same city that I still can't help. What if I'm not doing enough in my role as a doctor? All this guilt. All right, let's pause, take a deep breath in and out. All right, so let's check in with how you're feeling. How's your guilt? How strong is it on a scale of 0 to 10? If it's a 0, 1, or 2, then we're going to move on to some tapping in the positive. But if it's still 3, 4, 5, or higher, I encourage you to rewind this video and keep tapping on that negative. If new emotions come up, tap on those. If you have any aha moments, ideas, memories, images, past trauma from other times where you've had to sacrifice yourself, or other guilt you felt as a healthcare professional, or other guilt you felt in your life, that's coming up for a reason. Don't ignore it. And you may want to start tapping on guilt about those other things or the emotions that those other events have brought up inside of you right now. And so, what we're going to do now is we're going to tap on the positive, and let's just get right to it. I feel guilt about a lot of things. This virus has brought up a lot of complicated issues for healthcare professionals. We're on the front lines and we are putting ourselves at risk. We're putting our patients and our healthcare system ahead of ourselves and our families. And that's something that may not feel very comfortable right now. And what I'm feeling is human and it's rational. And I'm going to be open to the idea that I don't have to beat myself up for anything that I'm feeling right now. I'm going to be open to embracing everything that I'm feeling right now because it's my subconscious telling me some important information. Guilt isn't helpful for me right now. Everybody in the society is doing the best they can, even if that doesn't look like it from the outside. And I know that I'm doing the best that I can. I'm going to do my best not to expose my family and my friends. And I'm going to do my best to manage my own physical and emotional health right now. I've been asked to step up at this time in society and in history. And it's okay if that kind of sucks, but I'm not choiceless, even if I might feel like I'm choiceless. I chose this profession and I chose a profession that can be risky. And it's also okay for me to feel some guilt and resentment and anger. I don't want to be at risk and I don't want to put my family at risk, and that's okay. So I'm going to let go of that guilt now. I'm going to let go of that need to please everybody. I'm going to let go of feeling like I'm not enough. All that guilt leaving my body. And I feel so much lighter and much more calm. All right, let's pause. Take a deep breath in and out. All right, great job. How are you feeling? Write down your severity level of your guilt, how strong it is. If it's come back, go back to the beginning of this video and start tapping through. Maybe there's a different component to the guilt that you're feeling. If it has, if you're feeling a different emotion, it's a good time to tap on that. If you're feeling a sense of peace, just savor that and enjoy that, because you'll bring that with you now every day as you go to work, or on days that you have off, that you get to savor that with your family. Remember to wash your hands after you're done tapping. Remember to, gosh, just remember that what you're doing is such an important thing for our society right now. All the emotions you're feeling are valid. There are people here who support you and love you and are proud of you and are grateful for you. We could not do it without you. All this isolation that we're doing is all for you so that you're able to take care of patients who need it, really in a time of extreme crisis for our society. So thank you for everything that you do. I hope that you are feeling supported and loved by the people that care for you. If you do want to do some tapping one-on-one with me, I'm available for that. You can reply directly to this email, or you can go to jillwener.com/tapping, um, and follow the links to one-on-one tapping sessions. And I'd love to do that with you. And also, of course, if learning to meditate is something you feel like you'd like to do, there are great resources, CME-accredited meditation courses for you that are going to teach you in a way to meditate in a way that's completely different from anything you ever thought you knew about meditation. So if you don't already have a meditation practice that you love, please consider um, learning to meditate while we all have this extra time at home. This is going to be so good for you, for your immune system, for your mental health. And I'll see you in the last video where we're going to talk about sadness. Okay. Thank you so much.